In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect to a database using PHP data objects. Okay, so my goal is to connect to a database and I'm going to create an object from the class PDO. Okay, so that object is going to be named connection, but you can name it whatever you want. And this object is coming from the class PDO, which accepts three arguments, or at least I'm going to use three arguments. The first part of the first argument is the type of database that I'm using. So right now I'm using my SQL or my SQL, and then I need to define the host. The host I'm using is localhost. So I do my SQL column host equals localhost equals to localhost. So that is the first part of the argument, the type of database and the type and the host. And now I need to define the name of my database. I'm using tutorial as the name of my database for this tutorial. So I'm going to type dbName equals tutorial. So remember, you need to type it like this, dbName for database name in the first argument. So that is actually the last part of the string. Okay, so the second argument is going to be the username. Okay, so for username I'm using root, which is the default username for PHP my admin when you download it from the exam package. So, and the password is nothing, it's just a null password. So I don't know, if you change your password, you need to make sure it matches here in your connection. So this is actually my object connection from the PDO class. So I need to make sure that if I get connected successfully, I get a message or I do something afterwards. But if I make a mistake or I make an error here in the typing, I'm also, told what happened, or I'm thrown an error telling me what happened. So to do that, I'm going to use a try and catch block. So try means that I'm going to try and connect here, or I'm going to see if this code is successful, or if I get connected successfully here. So let me just delete this over here. And also, what happens if I'm not? So if I'm connected successfully inside the try statement, I'm going to echo I connected to my database. That's what I want to be displayed. But if I'm not connected successfully, if I don't know, maybe the server is down, or maybe I didn't type something well here, I mistyped something, like instead of tutorials, something else is going to be happening, or I'm going to be displayed something else. So to do that, I'm going to call the class PDO exception over here. This is also part of the PHP data objects, and I'm going to store, or I'm going to make an object from this class here in the argument. So I'm going to say error. So this object is coming from this class PDO exception, which is PDO error. Exception is like error, an error in your program. So I'm going to say that I want to echo that error and just a message. So the method is get message from that error object. So it is a method from this object coming from this class. So get message, and that's it. So what this is gonna do is try and run this code over here. If this is successful, it's gonna echo I'm connected to my database. If it's not successful, it's gonna give us an error message. So from the error object here that I defined over here coming from this class. So let's see what happens when I go to my file, connect.php. You can actually name this file whatever you want. So let's refresh this, and it says I connected to my database. That means that from now on, I can retrieve data here. I can do all my CRUD operations, create, read, update, or delete any of these rows or any of these records from the database, and I can go ahead and manipulate my database using SQL or systematic query language. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's test the connection. Let's see what happens if instead of tutorial I type a different database like tutorials. This is going to give me an error, unknown database tutorials. So that means that this code was not successfully run because there is an error here. So instead of that, it ran this code, error message. So I want to show you, if I add here error and then I concatenate it with the rest, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see error here, running this code over here. Error. You see the error here that I typed over here. So all the code that I type here is going to be shown here if I have an error. Okay, so what happens if instead of tutorials I put roots in the username? I wrongly typed my username. So it says access denied for user roots. Okay, using password no. So instead of the username I mistyped the password, or I just type in a different password, access denied for user. And okay, and that's it. I think that's it. I wanted to show you what happens when you have an error, when you connect it successfully. Now I think I typed this very well now, and it says I connected to my database. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to access that database using different queries with MySQL or MySQL language. Okay, so thank you for watching.